Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. You know, for a long time, there was this inside joke that whenever the game crashed, we should all get a 6-star Nexus, and that 6-star Nexus turned into a 6-star Abyss Nexus, and then I said, sort of joking, sort of serious, well, that means Kabam Santa's going to give Paragon players an Abyss Nexus for free on Christmas, and guess what? That's exactly what happened. So there was that, and now that we have 7 stars, every time the game goes down, everybody jokes, give me a free 7-star Crystal or 7-star Nexus, which of course doesn't exist yet. I remember when I first started playing this game that Magic, who's such a good OG champion, whoever designed Magic definitely belongs in the Kabam Hall of Fame and certainly deserved multiple raises. But of course, we can't find a 6-star Magic in the game because she doesn't exist. She's so good that, believe it or not, for a couple years at least, a 5-star, especially, and it was very difficult to get because 6 stones didn't exist for a while in the game too, right? You just had to naturally duplicate a champion the old-fashioned way, and that was difficult. But needless to say, 5-star Magic was a problem in the streets. In fact, she was the most important boss that you could face and run into in Alliance War. Of course, this was before Battlegrounds. This was before the Glory Store. Alliance Quest was still sort of in its infancy. And so Kabam had a choice. They could nerf Magic, or they could make money off of nerfing Magic without nerfing Magic. And so they did something that was really sneaky. And in retrospect, I still don't really understand it. They gave us Blade, but they kind of hid the announcement. I'll never forget Brian Grant actually talked about how he didn't go for this champion because he didn't need a defender. Because the combat style is defensive utility. Because, of course, this was, back then, the best 5-star you could open. Blade. Blade nerfed Magic without nerfing the champion, like, target-wise. Blade nerfed Magic without the community being able to say, hey, we deserve our money back. We spent all this money to rank up Magic, and then now we can't use her as a boss. And literally, when Blade came out, and I was very blessed, this was also back when you could hoard thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of 5-star shards, and go for the featured 5-star crystal, which back then, the new champions automatically had their own featured 5-star crystal. It was incredible. And the drop rates weren't 4.2% or 6%. They were like 20 to 25%. And so, could you still open 10 crystals and not get Blade? Of course. But you could also have somebody who opens 10 and gets 5 Blades. Regardless, if you had Blade, you won Alliance War if Magic was the boss. If you didn't, you probably lost. Well, the game has had a ton of new Blades ever since then. But of course, the best example of the champion that everybody's after and agrees is the best is not 5-star Hercules, but now, and I can say this because you can't do better than this right now, and I can't imagine doing better than this maybe ever. Like, this might be as good as it gets for Hercules fans. 6-star Sig 200, obviously, if they're Sig 200, they're awakened Hercules. Every live stream that I've been in on Twitch with Kabam, and I do appreciate people saying hello and people telling me to F off at the same time. It's fascinating. The joke has been, like the 6-star Nexus joke, like the 7-star Nexus or 7-star Crystal, give us a 7-star Hercules. We want to give away with the 7-star Hercules. And they always laugh and say, Hercules is not coming to the game as a 7-star. Although they did say that every new champion starting in June, this month, is going to be in the 7-star, probably Titan Crystal, but available as a 7-star. Which is crazy. Because that means if that policy had been in effect, we'd have a 7-star Hercules, we'd have a 7-star Cosmic Ghost Rider, we'd have a 7-star Kitty Pryde, you name it. And so there's going to be more pressure than ever on this rebalancing program for Kabam to probably put champions in the mid category. But let's say they are in the mid category, right? We now know that they're developing and releasing with one of the featured champions, Danny, I think, in this month, somebody that can negate unstoppable and immortality. Just shuts it off. Now, obviously, Hercules has utility outside of his awakened ability. But let's be honest. That's a huge, huge reason why Hercules is so amazing. I know people who only play him at 10% health. You're going to lose that utility against that champion. Presumably. And also, once Kabam introduces a mechanic, they're going to bring it back. And it's going to become a staple. Kind of like Root, right? Root was an experiment that turned into a mechanic that then had champions that I fought Zemo today in Battlegrounds. I felt like I'd never played the game in my life. It was embarrassing how bad I was against Zemo. And the Root was a big root cause of why I just couldn't win. Couldn't even come close. So, just beware, YouTube. The new Nerf of Hercules is here to stay, but they're not touching the champion. They're doing what they did to Magic with Blade. They're bringing in champions that negate a huge part of his value because that's what the game does. That's how it evolves. We bring in somebody that everybody goes after and spends hundreds or thousands or Lord knows how much money, only to have them eventually be put to the dust heap. I think of Medusa as one of those champions, who I don't know how many people still use her. I rarely see her in Battlegrounds, even. But you had Mystic Champions that suddenly you could take away her Furies and negate the auto block. And so she was just kind of useless. And even though she was decent as an offensive weapon still, not compared to Cosmic Ghost Rider. Not those armor breaks. So, YouTube, I still think Hercules will always have crazy good value because, as Kabam Broccoli said to me when I interviewed him in 2022, the problem with nerfing someone like Hercules straight up is that you're then hurting so many champions, even like Hela, that have a similar utility but not as much of an upside. So there are enough champions that share similar abilities that it's not as easy as just targeting one champion. But this is, I do believe, a way to make a ton of money, because if you've got somebody who brings in Hercules, like most people do, including myself, and a lot of them have him at rank 5, especially the top players, into Battlegrounds, well, you can still bring Hercules against champions that negate the immortality and hope that you don't have to use it, but there's just more of a risk and less of a margin of for error when you play him. So that's my info today. Thanks for watching.